states, state and local relations group, which is basically a group of public affairs practitioners who do state and local lobbying, community relations and communications, and emergency response work. I ran that group for about 7 or 8 years. Then I had an opportunity to come into a new and restructured public affairs organization as the global manager for all of our downstream public affairs operations. And I had public affairs people in about 140 countries, if you can think of that. And it was post-Texaco merger. We didn't even know where these people were, other than there was somebody in a country somewhere we needed to find and get on a roster so I could actually talk to them. And it took me 2 years to kind of sort that out and get an organizational structure together. I then moved on to this job as the GM for corporate public policy. And corporate public policy, I think it's instructive to note that our whole public affairs organization was reorganized in 2003. And it was largely, before the Texaco merger in 2001, it was largely an organization focused on U.S. politics, government affairs work, and U.S. state and local relations. But overnight, with the purchase of Texaco, we became a global company with operations in 180 countries. Our upstream, our downstream, all of our operations completely had to change focus because we're no longer operating in comfortable environments. We're operating in 180 countries, most of them developing countries. As a base company, we had very little experience except in the upstream with how to handle that. And the public affairs organization was not structured at all to even begin to think about how to deal with that. So the organization was restructured and corporate public policy was created with the idea of being the point on the spear for understanding emerging geopolitical issues, corporate policy issues, and corporate responsibility issues. The first 2 years kind of languished, and then I was brought in to try and get it on track. For the past 5 years, we have been building deliberately a corporate responsibility function. I have now 35 people that work in my organization. I have medical doctors, I have lawyers, I have PhDs in social impact assessment, I have MBAs, I have international policy specialists and all of them have graduate degrees. Most of them have served time in some international location. They're an incredible, and talented group of people, and really, the strength of the organization is really due to them. So that's kind of my background, and I wanted to set that up since I had a little extra time to do that, because some of this that I'm going to go through today might make a little bit more sense to you than I produced a pretty fast flyover for the other groups. So at Chevron, we have come to appreciate corporate responsibility as a key component of our business strategies. And we've learned that to be successful in the countries where we operate, I said this earlier, we have to deliver both business value and social value. And so we are always looking for this nexus. In the business world, and I think you'll find in the academic world, that you will find that there is no sort of standard definition of corporate responsibility. Everybody's got a view on what it is. You can go to Wikipedia and there's a definition. You can go to the Harvard Business School and they'll give you another definition. You can go to Walmart and they'll give you another definition. Everybody has a slightly different definition. And in the business world, it's dependent on what kind of business you're in. Are you in the retail business, manufacturing business? Are you in the extractive industry? Are you a major industrial facility? You make cars, for example. How many people do you have? Where do you operate? How much money do you make? What are your products and services? All those kinds of things go together to help companies figure out, well, what is corporate responsibility to us and how are we going to approach it? So we've kind of looked at this and we've studied it pretty thoroughly. I have one of the guys that works for me is finishing his PhD in corporate responsibility through an MBA program in a school, a university in England. I can't remember the name of it, but he's going to write a dissertation soon, I hope, because I'd like to read it. And his name is Cam. You might want to mark this down, Cam Nugent, and because it is going to be a piece of work that people will refer to a lot. He's done extensive research with corporations on this over the past 5 years. So companies look at it different ways, okay? Some of them it's simply a brand and reputation issue. And it's, how do I manage my reputation and advance my brand? I'm going to structure my corporate responsibility program to do that. Some believe that it's a pure ethics play. And you're going to see a lot of this come out of the financial community, trying to rebuild reputation around structuring their corporate responsibility to build confidence in their ethical foundation. Others view it as compliance. If I comply with state and local laws, I'm good. That's all I need to do, and that's the end of the discussion. And others look at it as a way to favor permission to operate wherever they have a facility. And then, of course, there are combinations of this. We, at Chevron, have, as I said, have analyzed this pretty thoroughly, and we have taken the viewpoint that it's really in Chevron all about putting our values into action. And we call this getting results the right way. So it's a combination of all the 4 things that I talked about, but it's really built around our value system. So it's not just an entity out here, corporate responsibility function, a focal point. It's hardwired throughout our business. When we talk about results, we're talking about financial results and performance, but we're also talking about the results that we generate through our activities in our communities and the impacts and outcomes that are favorable to society in general. So, kind of in sum, our CR approach is not a standalone strategy. It's a broad and deep understanding of the interdependence between business and society, and it's integrated into the way we think, it's integrated into our business philosophy, and it's integrated in how we operate.